Hey there, welcome to another episode of Ignite News. I'm Dimitri Perdicaris.
And I'm Scott Summerhays. Now the big news this weekend is the Hamilton Music Awards. Dimitri, have you had the chance to go and see some of the local talent?
You know what, Scott, with Hamilton being so well known for being a music city and really having that culture, I really should get out there more often and definitely check it out. How about yourself?
Well, I had a great summer exploring venue after venue, and I tell you, I was amazed by some of the talent here.
And one person who's always talking about Hamilton's music culture is Neil Reyes, and he actually has the details on the upcoming Hamilton Music Awards. Check it out.
The Hamilton Music Awards are returning to Mohawk College. Harrison Kennedy showed off why he is one of the Lifetime Achievement Award recipients at this year's HMAs, opening the conference with a few stories and songs. Comedian Shelley Marshall will co-host the event with Alan Cross, and she says the community is what really makes the HMAs special.
What makes Hamilton unique is it's a rather large city, but it has a small-time feel. People are very connected in this town and very willing to help and be part of shows in any way they can, whether it's to take part in the show or to promote the show. It's just an incredible community of people that feel very family, even when you're not.
Among the leading nominees at this year's awards are Monster Truck with 7 and Walk Off the Earth with 4. Beyond the awards, the HMAs and Mohawk College will host a music conference and rising star competition to cultivate the city's music scene. Founder Jean-Paul Gauthier says the college's McIntyre Theatre is the perfect venue for the HMAs.
Music awards have moved around from venue to venue over the years, and we found a very comfortable home at McIntyre Performing Arts Center, and our relationship with Mohawk College as a sponsor has really worked out well, I think, for both parties. So we find it a great size venue for what we do. It's wonderful that our conference component meshes in with the curriculum here offered at Mohawk College. So there's no other venue in town that can do that for us.
The Hamilton Music Awards, Festival, and Conference will take place at Mohawk College on November 14th to 17th. For Ignite News, I'm Neil Reyes.
As the moment of silence commenced, the audience stood together and in unity remembered the soldiers who fought for our freedom. The opening ceremonies for the Remembrance Day service featured music students Karen Visser and Matthew Stodock, who performed How and My Heart Will Go On. Police Foundation student Ethan Brooks reflected upon his time as a Canadian trooper during his keynote speech.
Most young men and women who enlist, they do it on a voluntary basis, and they know the expectations and the risks that come with that. No family volunteers to lose a child.
Robert and Margaret Thomas attended the service. Robert Thomas served for nearly 39 years and then retired as a captain.
It's really great that we try to remember, and it's important that we continue to do this to honor those people that gave their lives or parts of their lives for Canada.
Poppies were worn with pride all over campus. Corporal Garrick Skoretz couldn't help but think of the freedom taken for granted every day.
Remember those who have given their lives and those who have given periods of their lives in service to us so that we can enjoy our life as it is.
Every year, people take a moment to remember and appreciate the soldiers who fought for our freedom. Lest we forget. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Shannon Brownlee.
Mohawk College accepts students from countries the world over, but sometimes when they get here to Canada, they can feel a little bit culturally marginalized, right, Dimitri?
Oh, no doubt about it, Scott. And just think about how overwhelming that can be. And that's why I think it's important for Canadian citizens to get, a first-hand look at what life is like back home for a lot of these immigrants that are eventually settling here in Canada.
And the first of a hoped annual Pan-African event actually took place here in Hamilton, celebrating the cultures of 54 African countries. Elizabeth Chernyshenko has that story.
The event welcomed the Hamilton community for a night of diverse musical performances. Enthusiastic keynote speakers, multicultural vendors and foods, as well as activities for children of all ages. This was organized by the newly formed Canadian African Multicultural Association. The CAMA president, Omsilama Abdul Saeed, explained why she thinks Hamilton needs a group like this.
We are looking to our organization, to our people, from a cultural perspective. Not all the programs fill the needs of our people. That's why CAMA is existing. And not to duplicate any other organization, rather to help each other in the community to make Hamilton a better place to live.
Besides being a fun night, the purpose is deeply rooted in social education. Here were Andrew Amoa's thoughts.
The biggest importance for us is to get all the different African countries, 54 countries, right? To make sure people know that Africa is not just a country, but it's actually a continent of 54 diverse countries, cultures, and so forth. If we can get people to know about Africa, even more about Africa, and also get the different African nations to get together and work together in Hamilton and the GTA, that'd be wonderful for me. So I'm really excited about this. Tonight was a success.
Film producer Tyrone Greenidge is in full support.
You just want to be a part of it because we are on the same path. We are all trying to better ourselves, create a better tomorrow. I can't wait till this party next year because it's going to be bigger and better.
These community members have taken positive action to create the style of social support that they need. Tonight was the Pan-African Night, which is going to be the first of many events to come. My name is Elizabeth Chernachenko, reporting for Ignite News.
Hey Scott, how do you get to school every day?
Well, sometimes I take the bus, other times I choose the healthier option and walk here. How about you?
Well, you know what, man? It's a little bit of a different scenario for me. I commute from Toronto every day, so I'm taking the GO bus. I rely on transit, but it's crazy to think about how many students actually live within the campus, in the area, and you know what? Realistically, they're polluting the environment just because they're driving back and forth every single day.
Yeah, well, City Council in Hamilton has actually considered that, and they have a new pedestrian-friendly movement. Rachel Williams has more on that story.
The City of Hamilton has made it easier for pedestrians to cross the street. On November 6th, the General Issues Committee approved the Pedestrian Mobility Plan. In the works for 2 years, this plan will encourage public safety, promote alternative methods of transit, and make the city a more vibrant place to live. Delegates at the meeting included Sarah Mayo from the Social Planning and Research Council, Justin Jones of the Yes We Can campaign, Dave Stevens, advocate of Complete Streets, and representatives from the city's Transportation Division. Mayo's presentation focused on the issue of public safety. According to Mayo, Hamilton has the most pedestrian-related deaths in Ontario.
Pedestrians are at 35 to 41% higher risk of being injured on Hamilton's roads than the average for Ontario. And similarly, cyclists are at a 45 to 81% higher risk of injury in Hamilton than in Ontario.
The plan includes more bike lanes, bus lanes, pedestrian crossings, and larger sidewalks. There is also the spin-off effect of the plan, which promotes physical activity, cleaner air, and improves the marketability of the city. Ward 8 Councillor Terry Whitehead sees the plan as being able to solve some long-term social and economic issues within the city.
Clearly, this matrix brings some uniformity and comprehension to the whole process to ensure that we're addressing the walkability issues in those neighborhoods, setting a priority and how we address this, and over a period of time, there's no question the quality of life right across the broader community with a plan like this is going to improve.
The cost of creating pedestrian-friendly streets will add approximately 2 to 7% to each road rehabilitation project budget. But as Stevens notes, local businesses will benefit from these changes.
And how can people access the shops if they aren't allowed to get around, like through public transportation, or even on their own 2 feet?
The decision will be officially ratified on November 13th. This will be followed by a 30-day period of public review. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Rachel Williams.
Hey, what are you doing there, bud?
Don't you ever wonder what might be behind here?
No, not really.
But what if it's like a priceless painting or something?
I don't know. I guess I never really thought of that.
Well, reporter Anna Rittens did. She's doing a story now about how there's this wall in a restaurant that they're renovating, took off the paint, 60-year-old mural inside.
Really?
Yeah, here's the story right here.
Big Top Restaurant has been located in Hamilton's East End since 1952. Helen Patel has owned the restaurant for about 5 years.
My mother worked here for, going on 50 years. She still works here, so we were very good friends with the owners, and when they were ready to retire, they offered it to me, and I didn't hesitate.
After the discovery of a 60-year-old mural, what was supposed to be a 2-day cleanup project has now turned into a full-blown restoration.
Well, customers were always telling me that they believed that there was a mural behind that wall and that it wasn't painted over. I would like to restore it if I could. I am on a budget because, when you do construction, one thing after the other opens up more and more.
And more is right. Under layers of paint and plaster, owners began to uncover this 60-year-old mural.
Before we saw this mural, it was going to be a newer feel all the way. And then we realized that underneath the drop ceiling was a beautiful tin tile. So we want to restore that. Then we see that there's hardwood floors under the carpet, layers of carpet. So we would also maybe like to restore that. So now we're going to a different direction.
The original owner, Gerald Kavanagh, also owned a business with his brother called Kavanagh's Architecture, Artist, and Design. Mary Musica worked as an artist for the Kavanagh brothers, which is most likely how she came to paint the mural. Customers walking into the Big Top will feel like they are going back in time to the 1950s for an authentic diner experience. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Anna Rittens.
We're here in the Engineering Technology wing of Mohawk College's Fennel campus, but it was actually at the Stony Creek campus where students got to look at some new technology.
That's right, Scott, and it really gave students a hands-on approach. It was a great hands-on experience for them because really they're getting a look at what kind of gadgets, what kind of tools they're going to be using once they kickstart their careers and wrap up their studies here at Mohawk College. We actually have the details for you with Ivan Bond right now.
Thermal imaging to custom-designed welder helmets, the Star Campus students had the opportunity to interact with some of the new age tools they can use in the workplace.
These young people will be going out into the industry, buying product, using products, starting their own businesses, so it's a wonderful opportunity for them to be here.
The event was attended by various companies, some from right here in Ontario. Students had a chance to use new tools and learn new tricks that might apply in the field. This was a great way for students to speak to some of the representatives of the companies in a comfortable environment.
The meters behind us, I didn't even know. He has infrared pointers to tell you it's thermal imaging. So that's really interesting for their aspect.
Just looking around, it seems to be a good place to network with companies.
It's a good way to deviate from just classroom and lab work and get a change of scenery, talk to guys in the trade.
From power saws to cutting discs to electrical readers and cables, the trade show was just a small taste of what these students are preparing to use in the field. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Ivan Bond.
Well, the original Super Mario here is kind of an old school game, way before yours or my time. What kind of games do you like, Dimitri?
Kind of big variety. I like the sports teams, NHL, Madden. There's things like Call of Duty and obviously Grand Theft Auto, which is really popular now too.
Yeah, well, the new game Beyond Two Souls has amazing graphics, unlike this blocky stuff from the old days. Actually, actors Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe acted in the making of this game. Pat Fenton and Noah Salo have more on the game here.
I was born with a strange gift. The ability to see what no human being has ever seen before. It's all mixed.
Beyond Two Souls is a cinematic video game about a girl named Jodie who is born with another soul attached to her own. The game follows decades of her life, from her childhood in a laboratory to her CIA recruitment and missions.
Remember who I am. If I had to say how it all began, I might just as well start here.
I'm Patrick Fenton.
And I'm Noah Salo.
And we're sitting down today with a video game just released called Beyond Two Souls. Now this video game stars Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe, and they both not only included their likenesses, but they did full motion capture, body scans, all that for the game. It really plays more like a movie than a game here.
So I'm playing Jodie and Pat's playing the ghost. And what's really crazy here is like I'm developing a sense of attachment to this Jodie character. Like I feel like I am her. And then when it goes to your controls and you're controlling her, like I feel like I'm powerless in a way. Because like I need to rely on you, but I want to be able to control what's going on because I am attached to this character.
That's interesting because at the same time when I'm watching you, I feel like I'm just this visitor just kind of watching the whole thing. So I guess we're both getting into character here.
Yeah. Oh no, don't let me die. Does this game actually let you die at all?
I never encountered a game over.
I guess it really is all about the storytelling.
It is all about the storytelling. Even, like, it doesn't really give you choices about which paths you can take story-wise, but it does let you choose how you want to play her as a character.
Yeah.
Various social scenes and different ways. It really lets you get into Jodie as a character.
Yeah, you could like, I was playing a different scene earlier where she could be either responsive or not responsive as much as she wanted. She could say no, she could shrug, she could say yes, and you could control her however you wanted to. Antisocial or social, nice or mean.
Yeah, the game's choices are all very emotional choices. It's an emotional story. You know, it's about a girl who's stuck with this soul attached to her, and how does she cope with her life, especially being raised in a laboratory.
Yeah, you can tell that they didn't like approach this like, oh, it's a video game. You know, they didn't. It's not like they're looking at this as a paycheck. You know, this is something that Ellen Page is acting in this, even though it's animated and even though it's a game. You know, she is this character.
Beyond Two Souls blends the cinematic and game experience, and for the most part, it pulls it off exceptionally well. There are parts where the controls seem a bit clunky or unresponsive, but considering the graphical capabilities of the game and how well the character models look and how well the actors portrayed their performances, it really doesn't detract from the overall gaming experience. You play through the game out of order, and no matter what chapter you decide to pick up, you are instantly pulled into Jodie and Aiden's world, and the drive to figure out what's going on and who Aiden is with you throughout the game. Overall, this game is a perfect gift for anyone over the holiday season or something you just want to treat yourself to. Thanks for watching, Mohawk.
Oh man, Jurassic Park is an amazing movie. It's actually Chris Luckett, our movie reviewer. It's his favorite movie.
Well, why wouldn't it be? It's one of the greatest movies of all time, man. It's a classic.
Yeah, he loves movies. He loves doing reviews on movies, and the latest movie he's done a review on is called Ender's Game. It's in theaters now. Here's his review.
Welcome to Battle School. A great responsibility rests upon each of you. When the enemy first invaded, we were not ready. Millions of innocent lives were lost. That must never be allowed to happen again.
Ender's Game shouldn't work as a movie. The book has a somewhat repetitive plot, the space battle sequences are mammoth, and it has an ending that overshadows the rest of the story. Yet somehow, Ender's Game works as a movie in all the ways that it struggled to as a book. In 2136, the International Fleet operates in space and trains young children to be warriors. 50 years earlier, an alien species called Formics attacked the Earth but were fought off. The IF is relying on the quick reflexes and ingenuity of children to fight the second war against the Formics that they're sure is coming. Ender Wiggin, played by Asa Butterfield, is the most promising student in the school and the focus of Harrison Ford's Colonel Graff. Ender has the perfect mix of empathy and violence to lead a war against the Formics, and Graff makes it his mission to do whatever it takes to shape Ender into the hero they need.
You wanted to see me?
You can't resign.
You have an obligation to stay here and convince him to do his duty. My father trained horses. I've raised yearlings since I was 5 years old. I know a thoroughbred when I see one. We can't lose him. My God, you really don't see them as children, do you? It used to be a war crime to recruit anyone under the age of 15. When the war is over, we can have the luxury of debating the morality of what we do. When it's over, what will be left of the boy? What does it matter if there's nothing left at all?
Ender is recruited to battle school where he's isolated and bullied, but stands out with his creative solutions and calculated thinking. He moves up in the ranks quickly, eventually commanding squadrons and simulations to prepare for the next war. It's impossible to talk about the ending without ruining it, and its power is strongest if those unfamiliar with the story go into it blind. Fans of the book who worried about how the ending would be handled can rest assured, though, the emotional climax is done well. Directed with a brisk pace by Gavin Hood, the repetitiveness of the book is streamlined into a fast plot that never has time to wear out its welcome. The Ender's Game book series heavily influenced J.K. Rowling when she was writing the Harry Potter books, but now the boy wizard looks to have returned the favor in the movie franchise's influence on this. Ender's Game is compelling and entertaining, not just as a standalone movie, but also as the beginning to a film series that just could become the next Harry Potter. Ender's Game gets 4.5 stars out of 5. For Ignite Entertainment, I'm Chris Luckett.
Dimitri, do you know what would be amazing if we went to Las Vegas?
That would be pretty sweet, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And you know what? When we go, we need to take Morgan Freeman.
That would be amazing, but man, I'm still only 20 years old. I've still got a little bit of a ways to go until I'm old enough to go.
I see. Well, you have yet to do your first Vegas. Chris Luckett has a review on Last Vegas.
When the trailers for Last Vegas first came out, many people had the same thought. Oh look, they remade The Hangover for seniors. Thankfully, it's not the same at all. Michael Douglas, Robert De Niro, Kevin Kline, and Morgan Freeman play 4 guys in their late 60s who've been best friends for 58 years. When Michael Douglas' character gets engaged, his 3 friends decide to toss off the shackles of old age and throw him a kick-ass bachelor party in Vegas. A lot of the comedy in the first third of the movie comes from the ages of the 4 characters. Some of the jokes work, but some also just fall flat. When they flop, the movie gets by purely on the charm of the 4 leads.
I'm at your disposal for anything else that you might need.
Is that your job? You're just here for us?
You can believe who I'm supposed to be hosting this weekend.
Who?
50.
50? P50?
50. 50 people in there? No, 50 Cent. Curtis Jackson.
Oh, from the Jackson 5.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay.
Unfortunately, since Las Vegas starts off by aiming itself at those over retirement age, some of the early jokes are just stale. The movie seems to assume that elderly people won't have seen The Hangover or Superbad or Austin Powers, so it recycles from them and just figures they'll be funny since people won't have heard the jokes before. Now, if Las Vegas had remained that way the whole time, it would only warrant 3, maybe 3.5 stars. But after the first half hour or so, the movie really starts clicking. Like a camera that can't quite seem to find its focus, the first act works in sporadic spurts. But once they're together in Vegas, the movie snaps into focus, and the comedy is so sharp and hilarious, it nearly negates its early flaws. Morgan Freeman has more fun in this than he has in years, and Kevin Kline steals every scene he's in, proving himself just as funny as he was back in A Fish Called Wanda. Douglas and De Niro are also at the top of their games, and when their plots tangle in the final act and their emotional history is ultimately revealed, the 2 of them grip the screen. Too much time is wasted in the beginning on jokes about Lipitor and not knowing who 50 Cent or LMFAO are, but once the movie gets going, it's pretty irresistible. The 4 leads are so entertaining together, you want to keep watching them after the movie's done. Hopefully, this won't be the last Las Vegas. Las Vegas gets 4 stars out of 5. For Ignite Entertainment, I'm Chris Luckett.
Hey Scott, I was wondering what your thoughts were on poetry.
Well, I know this one. There once was a man from Nantucket.
Hey, come on, man. Let's not go there right now.
All right, fine. I don't know much about poetry, but we did sit down with Nia Reed, who is the artistic director for Hamilton Youth Poetry Slam. Here's the interview.
I want you to be my vanilla thunder. Strengths needed to be bound by this lycanthropic cursing quadrupedal ecstasy.
The Hamilton Youth Poetry Slam, it's a competition. A slam is a competition, a slammer is a competitor, and we throw a monthly slam each month, every 3rd Sunday of every month. Slammers, poets, storytellers come out and they compete all year long to try to make it onto the team. If they make it onto the team, they tour with us for 1 year. We take them to Ottawa, Chicago, and they also perform across the country at different festivals, different events. If you've never been to a slam, if you're under the age of 22 and you want a slam, a youth slam is the best avenue to go into because there's just so much more support. Everybody gets where you're coming from, what you're going through, and getting on the stage. And I think that when people sit back and they watch a slam, quite often they get a calling that they could do it. And if you get that calling, you should do it. But outside of the slam, we do have a workshop that starts at 4:30. After the workshop, we have an open mic. So even if you feel like you're not a slam poet, if you play a musical instrument, if you have another way of performing, you should totally hit the mic and share in the community.
We're here in the David Braley Athletic and Recreation Center, and on this wall are some alumni and some Hall of Famers from the varsity teams.
And speaking of varsity, Scott, I mean, we've got some solid varsity teams this season, and one of them is the Mohawk Mountaineers women's volleyball team. And I mean, last season, they were a team that had plenty of high expectations. They faced plenty of adversity with some unfortunate injuries, and ultimately, they didn't end up being as competitive as they would have liked to. But you talk about this season, I mean, they've been solid. They've had a great start to the year, and Ignite Sports reporter Teresa Friesen has the details on how their start has been.
It was an up-and-down battle between Mohawk's women's varsity volleyball team and the St. Clair Saints Saturday night, as the Mountaineers were able to hold off the Saints in the 5th set and secure a 3-2 victory. After losing their first set 18-25, Mohawk battled back and dominated the second and third sets, winning them 25-11 and 25-19. Although the 4th set was a close duel, Mohawk found themselves behind a couple of points the majority of the set, with St. Clair coming out on top 23-25. Mohawk controlled the final set with a 15-5 score, giving them the win. Mountaineers head coach Andrew Nicholson says the team started off a bit slower than they wanted to.
We're a pretty fast-hitting team, and today they sort of dictated the speed of the game in the first set. And then the second and third set, we played our game, and then we stopped playing our game, and they came back in again. And then in the 5th set, obviously, we got to where we needed to be as far as speed of game went.
Although the team came out on top, Nicholson says that the team still needs to work on speeding up their overall game.
We still have to speed up. Again, we allowed them to dictate the speed of the match, and that's something that we have to get beyond. We have to start making people play our game.
With a 2-1 record so far this year, Nicholson says that the team is going into this year with a lot more confidence than they've had in the past. The Mountaineers are on the road for their next match against Niagara on Sunday, November 10th. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Teresa Friesen.
Thanks for watching another episode of Ignite News. We really appreciate it.
And make sure to tune in next week for more coverage of Mohawk College and the general Hamilton area. I'm Scott Summerhays.
And I'm Dimitri Pertikaris. Take care.